In 2016, the Griffin Police Department implemented our Crime Analysis Plus crime analysis program, basically where we started taking a little better look at our crime rate, where the crimes were happening, and things of that nature. So we look at that every year to kind of get a yardstick as to how well we're doing and where we are in comparison to agencies and cities around us. Well, the most recent snapshot that we took, taking a look at our crime rate, was we actually went all the way back to 2014 and started looking at the trend between 2014 and 2017. And what we're seeing, especially as it applies to the Part 1 or the most serious violent crimes, is a pretty significant downturn in those Part 1 crimes. Part 1 crimes generally are your crimes against persons with robbery, homicide, aggravated assault, rape, things of that nature. There's also a couple of property crimes thrown in there, like motor vehicle theft and burglary. But we're seeing a pretty significant decrease in that. If we look back at what our crime rate looked like in 2014 for the Part 1 crimes, we've come down roughly in the neighborhood of 20% since 2014, and that's pretty big. Now, some of that is probably due to cleaning up the way that we're reporting things, and nationally there has been a downturn in Part 1 crime across the country, with the exception being cities of 250,000 people or more. Basically the large cities have seen a little bit of an increase in the last year or so. But when we look at that most serious crime, we're doing okay. And 5-6% a year is pretty big when you add up a few years together. This most recent look that we took was at 2017, and we were down about 9% in the Part 1 serious crime compared to 2016. The Part 2 crime is the thefts and minor crimes and things of that nature, and that's remained relatively stagnant throughout 2014 all the way through 2017, with some minor reductions in different areas. We like to think that this reduction in Part 1 crime is due to our gang enforcement initiatives, and we did see a pretty big drop in some of the more serious things, especially as it relates to aggravated assaults. And what you'll see is that comes about from the drive-by shooting type stuff, and that's really been on the downhill side. We've done made over 100 gang cases since 2016, so I think we've sent a pretty good message. Of course, we haven't arrested all our gang members, but I think we've encouraged a lot of them to leave, and we've displaced the crime, plus we have prosecuted quite a few of them. Looking at the mapping of crime, the where it occurs, we really don't see much change from previous years, but there is some transition in some of the areas that we've worked really hard on code enforcement and trying to resolve some of the substandard housing and things like that. So for the future anyway, we feel like there's going to be a good correlation with dealing with those type of issues and helping us push that crime rate down. We also really tried hard to develop our community-oriented policing strategy by implementing our Plus P project, which encourages officers to make a couple of positive contacts with citizens every day. And based on the amount of tips and information that come in, we think we've kind of got over a hurdle or two building the trust relationship between the department and the citizens that we serve. So in general, what we're seeing is a pretty good downward trend, and we're going to keep doing what we do to try to keep that trend going. And if we can keep doing 5, 6, 7, 8% per year over a few years, that's pretty big. And especially when we work on the backside of it, dealing with substandard housing and trying to work with the community and develop relationships and things like that. So in a short period of time, it looks like we've come a long way, and hopefully we can keep that trend going.